I'm Susan L. Allen, CEO of the U.S. Pan Asian American Chamber of Commerce Education Foundation, popularly known as USPAC. Welcome to a business leadership series sponsored by Wells Fargo 10 years ago. A few weeks ago, we finished our biggest event of the year, Celebration Business Plus Procurement Conference 2023 in Las Vegas. The theme was Breakthrough. We ended our conference with ChatGPT AI. How do you use that to soar and be safe? Today, we're going to pick up on that subject and talk about cybersecurity and IT solutions to combat cybersecurity. You see, organizations such as Target, Microsoft, Yahoo, and even the Office of Personnel Management from the federal government that manages the millions of federal employees in the civil service sector did not escape the attack and risk of cybersecurity. So today's topic is timely. With me today is our guest speaker, Mei-Jin Welke. She is a member of the board of directors of USPAC's Western Regional Chapter. She is a self-made entrepreneur, having worked with organizations such as IBM, Sun, American Express, BlackBerry, and a lot more major Fortune companies. She started her own company about 12 years ago. She's the co-owner of CMIT Solutions, Silicon Valley. She's an expert because she developed a course and actually teaches it at the University of Santa Cruz in California. Without taking more of her time, let me introduce you to Mei-Jin Welke, a good friend, a reliable partner, and an expert in cybersecurity. Mei-Jin, the mic is yours.
All right. Thank you, Susan. I'm very honored to be invited to speak at your business leadership series. Again, my name is Mei-Jin Welke, and today I'm going to cover the topic around how to protect your workplace when it comes to cyber security and cyber threat. So safeguarding your workplace and some essential guide best practices on cybersecurity. This is to show that there's a lot of interest in having talk about cybersecurity and how to protect your business, and a lot of places that I have spoken and share knowledges and awareness. So today in this webinar, I'm going to cover three things. One is the cybercrime and the attacks, so that you can recognize them. Cybersecurity best practices that you can implement in your workplace, and then the 4 steps that SBA, Small Business Administration, recommend for businesses. So let me first go through a few slides to show you the statistic on cybercrime and the impact and the cost to our world. Actually, this is global. It's not just US. Globally, the damage is at $1 billion per day, $16.4 billion per day. You count it down to second, 190,000 per second. That's how much it costs us when the cyber attacks happen. In the FBI IC report, as you can see, year after year since 2017 has increased significantly, all the way to 2021, and my expectation is 22 and 23, once come out, would be also very high, much more than 21. So why is cybercrime growing so fast? It is the 3rd largest economy. A lot of us heard about cybercrime, but what we don't realize is that it is actually an enterprise. An enterprise, and they had created the 3rd largest economy just through this cyber crime and attack. 8 trillion in 2023, 10 trillion is expected by 2025. Here's a very interesting look at cybercrime enterprise. It is just like an enterprise business that has organization, org chart, just like our big enterprise, with all the function that we have, except that they have the hackers in it. Now, here's a little bit about why can this cybercrime grow so fast? Because especially since COVID, we have exploded in our use on the internet. Everything is cloud-based. Everything is remote. So it gave them even more of a target to go after. So who are the targets? So they are actually large corporations, as Ms. Susan had talked about. All the big names that you've seen, you've heard on the news here. So small and large, there's no exception. Everyone is attacked by the cybercrime, and especially small business. 58% of the attack are against the small, mid-sized businesses. So let's look at the different type of attacks that happen to us. Like I mentioned before, it's any industry: construction, manufacturing, finance, education, healthcare. Every one of these industries has been attacked and are still being targeted. And why are small businesses prime targets? And I'm going to talk a little bit about this, because they go after the small business. A lot of time we think, oh, we're a small business. We don't have the data that they need. We don't have the amount of money they need. But small businesses is an easy target because of the lack of IT infrastructure, investment. We don't have the skill. Small businesses have old equipment. And a lot of time, the owners wear a lot of hats, so they don't pay attention to cybersecurity. And they also believe their data is not important. However, their clients' data are important. And I'll talk further that in the supply chain, small businesses are the potential weak link. And all it needs is just that one weak link for the large corporation, which are the client of this small business, to be targeted. And here's an example of what I just talked about. All these are large corporations being attacked through either the human error or through their third-party vendors. One thing that I want to call out as an example is the Target one, which everybody knows, that the attack came through their HVAC vendor, who lost the password to all the Wi-Fi, and the hackers just sit outside their parking lot, hacking into Target, and was able to get into their servers and steal all the credit cards information of their clients. Now, the HVAC vendor is a small business. So this is how why we as a small business need to pay attention. How do they come and attack us? There's so many different ways, potentially attacks coming in. But today I'm just going to talk about and focus on the most common ones, which are ransomware and phishing. And then I may cover a little bit of social engineering, just so you don't give out your password, or your team doesn't give out your password or important information. Phishing email is the most common and the highest way for the attack to come in. As this one example, I won't take too much time, but I want to call out to you to pay attention to when you get an email from even a credible source like Microsoft in this example, to still hover over to the sender and look at where the domain is. In this one, we just have, your eye looking at it, you would think it's Microsoft.services. But if you look closer, it's actually not an M in the Microsoft, it's RNI. So that's how they are fooling us now, so that when you just are so busy every day scanning through your email, you may not see that different. Here's another example on Netflix that come to me. Can you see the FLIX? It's not actually FI, it's FIIX. But if your eye just scanning through email and click on this, that's how they come into your network. The third example here is just to pay attention to sometimes when email come in that are from a nonprofit or from a hospital, and it come in as a .com, but it actually is supposed to be a .org. So the only way to double check on that is to go to your browser and search for the website to make sure that it's the right one. So second here that I wanted to share is ransomware. And phishing email is the highest cause of how ransomware happen. Ransomware happen when all your files are encrypted, so you can't open any file, you can't do any work, your whole company is down, locked down because all the files are being encrypted. And they come to you and asking for Bitcoin so that they can give you the encryption key to unencrypt all your file. And this, as you have heard on the news, happened to large and small organizations. So why do we care? We care because small businesses usually close their shop within a year of a data breach incident. And that's the fact that a statistic that are produced by the small business communities. The threat now is not about if, it's about when. And this is how serious this is. And you'll hear that in the security industry, that it's a matter of when. So what we all need to do is to be prepared. In all 50 states, we all do business in all the different states, but all 50 states have data privacy law. So we pay attention to that when we think that we don't have important data. But if we work with consumers, we're collecting students' information, members' information, we have data that are under this data privacy law. And this is just one example of the California, and all states do that. If you are a business and you're breached or hacked, you're supposed to report to and publish it on this website. And if you go to this website on a daily basis, you'll see new name coming up of who have been hacked or breached. And it's not just large organizations, small. As you can see in this one example, CVS Pharmacy is on it. So it's amazing the name that you see here on a daily basis changing, coming up. So that's the URL to go to it. Every state attorney general has that site that have people reporting the breach. Okay, so with all that data that tells you how serious it is and what is the attack, what can you do as a business leader? I'm going to give you some few basic best practices that you should implement in your office, with your team. Strong password. It used to be that we say eight characters, 9, 10. No, now you have to be 15 or more. And it can't be, name of your family, your son, your daughter, your parents, and your dog, your pets. It has to be word that nobody can, it doesn't mean anything. Because nowadays we post into social media so people know who you're related to, who you're friends with. So here's an example of how you can create a very difficult 15-character password that you can still remember. And I won't go into in detail. I can share the example later on. And here's just one quick slide on why 15 characters and why the mix of characters. Because in this table, it shows you how much time it takes for them to try to break your password. If you have a combination of 15 characters up to, and with upper lowercase, if you look at all the green color, it goes from hours to days to years before they can break it. And that's why you want that combination, and the longer the password, the better. So MFA, you hear about this. It's also known as two-factor authentication, and MFA is multi-factor. So two-factor is the minimum you should do if your application or what you use, your computer, allow you to use it. Definitely turn it on everywhere, I mean, because people are being hacked. Without this second key, second lock, you're going to be wide open very quickly, because they have all this multi-billion criminal organization can run so many different algorithms to break your password. So definitely start implementing it everywhere. Two-factor authentication at the simplest form come as a code into your cell phone. However, there are now a lot of authentication apps that you can have on your phone that give you the code. So definitely implement that. Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi has always been such a convenient for us, especially when we're traveling, trying to work as well, or trying to surf the web. But be careful about public Wi-Fi because that's very open Wi-Fi, especially in Starbucks, in the hotel, in the airport. Be careful what you do especially when you're trying to do some work that involve financial. It's better to use your own phone data line with AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile. If you are in your office, you have computers that are doing accounting, definitely use the actual Ethernet cable plugging into the back of the computer to make sure it's more secure. Even router in your home or office, you want to make sure that it is updated. And don't, in your home router, how many of us actually go and check our home router, whether it's how it's being set up by the service provider, right? And so a lot of times they just left it in the default password. So it's important to make sure you know and change the password. So remote work has become a norm since COVID. And a lot of us are still work from home. So it's important that in your business that you have a remote worker policy so that all your employees understand what that is and what to do and not to do. If you have data that they need to access into your office, get a VPN set up on the cloud, make sure they use a secure HTTP connectivity. And all the computers have to be updated to the latest OS patch, antivirus, anti-malware. Now you also have EDR, early detection and response solutions that you can put on your computer, and more. And definitely, that's number one, is to make sure your patch management is always ongoing. Turn on your firewall on your computer. Most of them have them. You can enable that. And encryption on your laptop is important. If you're carrying around important data privacy type of data, that all your employees' laptop is encrypted so that if you get lost, you're protected from a hacker being able to see it. Okay, so what to do here? I won't go into again all the detail, but it's important. If you one of your employees tell you that something's happening, they're seeing something weird on your computer, make sure you just unplug it from the internet so that it doesn't spread. And make sure that take a photo of, don't forward anything, just take a photo of what's on the screen, call your IT, and start working the containment, right? And consult your cyber insurance right away so that they can come and help you as well. Now, this is important. As a business leaders, it's important to always communicate and foster a culture of security, because you want to build your human firewall, because your team is going to be working from everywhere. It's important that they understand security is very important in your workplace. And you should also conduct an ongoing security awareness training with your team. So here I'm going to share a little more detail requirement or recommendation, but I can share a lot of that later. And you can also go to the SBA website to see what they are. The approach recommended by SBA is that as a business you should create your security planning plan. So let me go ahead and go to that. Create your own security plan. These are all the different factors you have to consider when you do that. And like I said, you can get that list in this fcc.gov website, and work with your internal team. The IT, the HR, all of that, all the department within your operation need to have a plan. The cyber resilience review. make sure that all these different controls, and this is where the government controls come in, and such as NIST, CMMC, is controlling all these asset in your infrastructure. And again, I provided the link there so you can see more there. And a lot of the standards now are leaning towards basing it on NIST cybersecurity framework. NIST is the National Institute of Standard and Technology, and especially the government, DoD, are creating a lot of their cybersecurity requirement based on this framework. Cyber hygiene scanning. So this is beyond just hygiene, I would say. That means that in addition, antivirus that we all used to have in the computers is no longer enough. So there's a lot of new technology coming out, like EDR, XDR. That means early detection and response, network detection and response, which all backed by 24/7 Security Operations Center, which means a team of SOC, security analysts, looking at all the alerts coming in on anything suspicious. So you're talking about scanning at the next level that is required now. Doing phishing campaign, just to test out, doing sometimes even penetration testing on your environment would help to see what your risk is. And then the last one recommendation is to understand your supply chain. And I actually develop and teach the safeguarding your supply chain and with cybersecurity focus, because all it takes is just that one supplier that you have that doesn't have anything in their network and office for the hacker to come into your network, to get into your information. All right, so if you want to learn more of those in detail, I actually have a class at UC Santa Cruz that you can sign up, and which is where I talk about cybersecurity framework and all the requirement, CMMC, cybersecurity maturity model required by the Department of Defense, and healthcare like HIPAA and so on. So different industry has different requirement or compliance, and this is just a slide to share briefly what they all are in different industry. And all of this I have more detail in that can be shared later. That's it. That is what I would like to conclude with the cybersecurity best practices.
Well, thank you, Mei-Jin. Thank you. Please stay there. I've got a few questions for you.
Okay.
You talked about SBA, and we work closely with the SBA. As you know, the SBA honored us with an award of $5 million for 2 years to help the small businesses, particularly the Asian American businesses, which have been impacted by COVID-19. And the chapter where you sit as a member of the board of directors have been helping folks in the California area. So, and you also mentioned SBA has certain standards and certain resources. In that regard, many of our members are already federal government contractors. There are those also who are looking to being a government contractor. Are there anything that they have to do special other than the commercial sector to prepare themselves so that they could be the appropriate candidate for government contracts?
Yeah, and thank you, Susan, for that question. That's why I added the section around SBA recommendation. And it's not just SBA, all the federal government, state government, all come out with, what is the best practices, requirements on cybersecurity. So I think as a business leader, if we want to work with the government, we have to make sure that we are properly securing our own company, our own network, because when we work with the government, it's important, it's very critical that we are secure. And there are a lot of different standards that I cover, like I said, in my work with the contractors in the defense industry, and also in my class is there's cybersecurity framework like NIST, where this is the foundation of a lot of the requirements. So even with just the NIST, I help company with controlling 110 controls with NIST, right? And the DoD say you need to be CMMC level 2, and that's another 20. So you keep building up. So as a business, if you don't have anything, start small. And obviously, I can be a resource to help you kind of figure out what you need. But there's 110 at the minimum everybody should have. And then beyond there, if you work with the defense industry, you need 20 or 30 more, depending on how secure you need to be and what kind of project to work on. In the healthcare industry, that's looking at HIPAA has a lot of detail on security that you need to also meet. So I think we just need to be responsible when we work with the type of client that we work with to secure ourselves, so that we don't become that one weak link that caused the attack, right?
That's right. I was interested to see that you added the FCC. Is that the Federal Communications Commission that you were referring to? As
Yes.
you know, I'm a vice chair of the FCC's Communications Equity and Diversity Council. This is the first time I hear that they also have something to do with security.
Yes.
Say a few more things about that.
Yeah, so a lot of the government agencies collaborate on the cybersecurity. What should each of us do? And there's a lot of resources. I would encourage people to go to the FCC website, SBA website, NIST website, the DoD. There's a lot of information, and when you look at all of them, they are all very similar, and they are all built upon that NIST cybersecurity framework that I talked about. And I think that's why if you implement that and start building up towards that 110 control in NIST SB 800 171, then you can meet a lot of the requirement in the different government agencies.
Great, wonderful. How about you mentioned cybersecurity insurance? How does it work?
Yes, it used to be where it's kind of, a lot of time business owners say, do I need to buy it? I would say now it's no longer an option because of how pervasive the attack is happening. You see big organization with the whole department of IT, cybersecurity, all kind of process and money spent on it still get attacked, right? So, and especially with smaller mid-sized businesses where we don't have the whole army of IT and all the resources to spend on it, you need to have a protection. So definitely get a cybersecurity insurance. Cybersecurity insurance are getting smarter because they don't want to take on your risk unless you can show them that you are putting some investment to secure yourself. So we're getting a lot of requests coming in from businesses because they have to fill out this, used to be 2 pages of a questionnaire. Now it's like 10, 15 pages now before you can you can buy an insurance.
Is that expensive, that insurance?
It depends. I don't have the number, but depending on how big and how much risk. So depending on what you answer in the questionnaire.
Right. So it is a part of the cost of doing business.
Exactly. And I encourage business leaders to keep that as part of your calculation, because there's cost to implement cybersecurity, cost to get cyber insurance, and make sure you include all of that when you go and do your bid on the big RFP.
Right. And if you have that there, that will be one asset that you can claim so that if your competitor, other bidders do not have that, you have an advantage as well.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, Mei-Jin, one final question, if I may. During our conference, our last session on the third day, we had a session called AI, ChatGPT, breakthrough and soar with that. And this is helping the small businesses, particularly who do not have a lot of resources to do the research and to reach out and market their wares and the products. But at the same time, that comes with liabilities too. What do you hear in your marketplace as to how AI and ChatGPT is helping, hurting? What type of precaution, caveat that they the small businesses, which we deal with a lot, should be paying
Yeah.
attention.
Yeah. So that's the hype now. Everybody talk about it. I was at a conference yesterday at the WeBack, and that was a big topic, AI. So this is a turning point as well. Remember the day when you started, when Google became available and you start Googling, and all of a sudden the whole world opened up for you because now you can get information so fast.
Right.
I think we're at that turning point as well on AI, and with the first Chat GPT is just kind of to let you see what is possible. I believe you're going to see a lot of similar application taking advantage of AI, which a lot of them have already started. So it's like a hockey stick, exploding, and I think that even though as much as we are excited about the opportunity, the risk is also increasing in the same rate. Because what we can use to make our life more efficient, which is what AI is going to help us, right? Be super efficient and super fast in doing things. The cyber criminal can do the same thing. So I think it's much more important than ever that you need to think about investing more and improving your cybersecurity posture, especially if you don't even have much yet today. Definitely get to a good foundation, because very quickly you're going to be slammed with all this new way of the cyber attacks coming in.
Right. Well, Mei-Jin, thank you so much for spending the last half hour or more with us. It's truly very informative and valuable information, and the content you give us is substantive. And I know that you're going to Europe tomorrow, and thank you for sticking up early in the morning in California for us. And we will take what you have taught us today further down the road and share that information. And I've want our audience and our members to know that Mei-Jin does teach a course in California, and go to her website and CMIT. Mei-Jin, would you please tell the audience your website, please?
Yeah, so it's cmitsolution.com. In there, and you can plug in the San Jose solution, which is where my office. I have two offices in San Jose and Pleasanton here in the Bay Area. And I believe we will be able to provide that in the banner. And if you want, I can also share the slide with your membership.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you very much for spending the day before your trip to Europe, your well-earned vacation with your family, your husband, 25 years. And ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our Business Leadership Series today on cybersecurity and IT solutions. Please stay tuned. Go to our website and check on other Business Leadership Series programs. And don't forget also, we just come out of a very successful Celebration Business Plus Procurement Conference. And our next big program will be our Innovation Symposium here in Washington, D.C. Stay tuned, watch out, go to our website and look for it, because you ain't seen nothing yet. Thanks again. Stay tuned.
Thank you.
Goodbye for now, and have a very good rest of the day. Bye-bye.